in a world full of negative people. Hey man, I'm just trying to be a positive guy, a positive farmer, a positive outfitter. This is the Shark Farmer Podcast with your host, Rob Sharkey. Whatever.
And welcome again to Shark Farmer Podcast. Hey, I'm your host, Rob Sharkey, and today we're going to stay in the once great state of Illinois. We're going to go up around Chi-Town, up around Chicago. Actually, I'm not even sure what hometown you call home anymore, Dale.
Elburn.
Elburn. All right, so how far is that outside of, let's say, downtown Chicago?
It is 50 miles straight west of Lake Michigan.
Okay. What's the best way to get in there and have a little fun?
The Metra, because that's a half a mile away from my house now, so I can walk there and stumble back.
Half mile? That's not too bad. I guess I should have asked you beforehand, but do you live on a farm that you just bought?
Yes, I bought 5 acres from a retiring farmer a couple years ago, a couple outbuildings, shop, some grain storage, and a house I remodeled.
All right. That's the old American dream, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what they tell me.
Well, Dale, we're not so dreamy now because of COVID, and that's messed a lot of things up. Like, I don't know, the summits, the seminars, the farm meetings, the ones I'd usually run into you at, those are all getting canceled because of this COVID thing. Have you noticed that?
Yeah, I'm disappointed. I don't get all the free lunches I used to.
That's what I'm saying. The pork chops or like the beef house, all that stuff. Yeah.
Right?
We're wasting away to nothing, aren't we?
Yeah, I know. But eating at home, not going out every day to get lunch with the salesman, it's tough. I've had to spend some money.
I know. It's life is tough as a farmer. But, hey, if you're worried about getting information, Dale, then fret not, because Family Farms is going to have a virtual summit on July 22nd. Now, they've got like a membership thing on July 21st, but if you just want good knowledge, a way to survive in this tough agriculture economy, you can sign up for the speakers on July 22nd and July 23rd. Some that you probably heard of here, Dale. Alan Tank, Eric Snodgrass. You ever seen him?
I believe I have.
Yeah, he's done a lot of them. I see they've added this Amberly Snyder. Now, I've seen her talk. She's really good. She's in the wheelchair, but she still does the barrel races. I mean, I'll let that sink in for a second. Yes, it's unbelievable. In fact, I just saw her on TV the other night. Here, you can actually see her speak. They've also got Chip Nillinger from Blue Reef. I picked on his sister last week. Maybe I shouldn't have done that. I know she doesn't listen because she hasn't commented, but I went to high school with Chip and his sister, and she told on me in high school. I'm pretty sure she did. I don't have any proof. So, yeah, I should probably just skip over the whole Chip thing this week, shouldn't I?
How many detentions did she get you?
It wasn't that. It wasn't like a thing they could prove, but I was on the radar of the Principal Messersmith. That was his name. We used to call him Grimace. Do you remember the old McDonald's character, Grimace?
Yeah.
He was shaped like Grimace.
Yeah.
He had a mole on his head that I don't think allowed combing of the hair.
Nice.
But I was on his radar ever since he found out that I was involved in messing with the janitor's cart. I was on his radar. I mean, he was like watching me like a grimace-looking hawk, I've got to say.
Nice.
The best was when he would wear a purple sweater on the days like that, and I don't know, that would just make my week. You don't remember the McDonald's characters, do you?
Vaguely. I'm not as old as you.
There was the Hamburglar. There was Grimace. There was Mayor McCheese. There was some annoying, I don't know if it was supposed to be Ronald's illegitimate daughter or something like that. Oh, and the Hamburglar. Yeah, he was the thief. He was the crook, the hooligan. It has nothing to do with the Family Farms group and their seminar, but here we are.
All right. See, I don't know if Steve Pitstick took us to McDonald's that much, so I always had to play with the Raisinets.
Really? Your dad was that cheap when you were growing up?
Yeah, he's pretty. I think maybe Sunday mornings after church, he'd take a good Catholic Sunday morning breakfast, go to McDonald's.
Wow, what a hero he was, springing for the old dollar menu after church.
Right. I don't know if 30 years ago there was a dollar menu at McDonald's. I think everything was probably under $1 at that point.
He probably still tried to talk him down. All right, familyfarmsgroup.com. Go register. Now, like if you aren't a member, there is a fee. But Dale, you know how to get around that, right? This isn't part of the ad, but I was thinking this the other day. When you and I go to meetings, we never pay, right? Because what do? We call up the old ag lender and said, hey, I want to go to this meeting. Do you want to, quote, sponsor me? Of course, you don't have lenders up there. You don't need lenders. Up in God's country there?
Yeah.
Yeah, you
It's
might call the
amazing
bank
up
every
here.
once in a while when you buy a section and say, hey, you might see a big check coming out of my account. But other than that, you probably never talk to your lender, do you?
Exactly.
Yeah, it must be nice. Yeah, but that's the way it is. Call up your seed guy, your chemical guy, say, hey, I want to be involved in this. You should shell out this much and sponsor me. They usually do. I'm just saying. Familyfarmsgroup.com. It is July 22nd. So get on it, because when this comes out, you're not going to have much time. So Dale Pitstick, first of all, how old are you?
I am 35.
35. Do you still think you're young?
Some days. The other day for the neighbor's dairy farm, I helped them pour 18 loads of concrete, and that hurt the old back for a couple days, but I've recovered.
Are they building a dairy farm up there?
Yeah, there's like one of the last ones in the county. I think 1 out of 2 or 1 out of 3 is actually within 50 miles of the city, Lankitis Holsteins.
Oh, that's fantastic. I thought that would probably be a thing of the past up there.
Yeah, me too. But they rehabbed it, put a couple robots in, so keep eating cheese and drinking milk.
Yes, sir. I will definitely do that. All right, Dale, you are farming up there. Describe what your farm looks like.
Right now, it is a beautiful, lush green. Out every window I look.
Mm-hmm.
To the southeast, I see corn and trees. And then if I look to the southwest, I see homes. There are homes within a half mile of me.
You kind of grew up that way, right? You cut your teeth, I should say, farming along our city brethren.
Yeah, you get down in rural Illinois, it's nice wide roads, no traffic for miles. And up here you get narrow roads, no shoulders, because the county thinks it's good not to put shoulders on in steep ditches. So you virtually have to stop when you meet somebody on there. As you go further east, you get into 4-lane roads, and you just take up both lanes on your side and don't let them pass you.
You just go, right? I mean, you don't really have a choice.
Exactly. You get a lot of middle fingers once they finally get around you, but you know what? When you get into those urban areas, they can't go much faster than I can anyways.
Yeah, that's definitely a good point. Okay, you are a farm kid, though, correct? You grew up farming with the family?
Correct. I've been farming my whole life. When I was younger, Dad had some steers or heifers, and then we moved from that farm to a family farm, and he started raising hogs till that was tanked in the 90s, and then we've been crops ever since.
When you were growing up and you went off to college and all that, was that always the plan, was to learn about farming, come back, find yourself a nice gal and settle down?
That's what I thought the plan was for me. So I wanted to do that. I tried dabbling in some excavating, working for some family friends doing that. I didn't really like that. It was too hot. I was the low man on the totem pole, so I always had a shovel in my hand. I was more of the wanting to drive the big equipment and probably drive it better than most of those guys. Back then, I thought that. I took for granted how good they were when they can dig a pipe in and not get off grade for half a mile.
You're not going to make this easy on me, are you, Dale? So your plan was to, find a nice gal, settle down, have babies, and be the stereotypical farmer.
Correct.
All right.
So you want me to tell you I'm gay? Well, I'm gay.
Hey, you can't say that, man. This is a farm podcast. We don't talk about those things.
Yeah, actually, you know what? I get more respect out of farmers being gay nowadays than I do the city friends that I thought I had.
All right. You are an openly gay farmer. We had your dad on the podcast, I don't know, it's been quite a while ago. And he was very open, very honest about, kind of accepting all this. I thought he did a very, very good job being honest of how his views have changed and everything like this. You've been open for quite a while, correct?
9 years. I came out when I was 26 years old. It was the hardest day of my life. It was Easter morning, and thought if I did this, I'd be disowned from the family. And I'm glad I did it and would never take it back for the world.
Well, let's go back, all right? Because you said 26. You had been in farming. You knew how farmers thought. You probably had been involved in, I don't know how many conversations were, making gay jokes, making fun of gay this, gay that. You knew then that you were gay. I mean, how hard was that not coming out earlier?
It was tough. It took me to meet the right other gay man for me to feel comfortable for who I was. And I dated him for a year and a half, not knowing now that he wasn't who I wanted to be with, but he opened my eyes up to a whole new world. And that's the world I knew I needed to be in. When I go back and look at my friends, I think some of them had an inkling of who I was, some a little more vocal than others, but they never fully knew, and some of them were just joking around. I never took offense to it. I truly didn't know who I was at the time either.
Sure. So that Easter morning, let's go at it from two different aspects. Did you want to come back to the farm at that point?
Yeah, I was farming with my uncles and dad at that point. Was in the seed sales industry. Farming was pretty good.
So you had a lot on the line. You not only were worried about getting disowned by the family, but this was also going to, if that was the case, take your livelihood.
Correct. And at the time, I had no other thought of what I would do. I just knew I needed to be happy for myself.
How did that old Easter morning go?
Amazing. Family was there. They all hugged me and said, we're going to love you no matter what.
Prior to this, was there any, I don't know, did you test the waters? Did you do any like trial balloons? I don't know, bring up a gay person and get like their opinions, stuff like that?
No family trials, personal trials. Yes, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
No family trials. When we would go to, because I never really brought girlfriends around, my mom's parents would always say, Dale, we don't care who you bring around. All your friends are always welcome at family events.
Well, that's what grandparents do too.
Right. Yeah. They don't care. They just want to see everyone happy.
Okay, the first hurdle taken with the family, right? Now let's talk about agriculture, because I mean, like I said, you've been around it your whole life. You knew certain people, you knew certain percentages had ideas about homosexuality and all that. So how did you go about, I don't know, coming out in agriculture? Was there like an announcement, or did it just happen organically?
So after I told my family, this is pretty funny. I went and rode in a tractor with my best friend, and he was working some ground. And I go, hey, I got something to tell you. And he was like, oh, crap, what's coming? And I told him, hey, I'm gay. And he's like, takes it in for a minute. Then we go back to talking about farming. He stops the tractor and goes, I got to take a leak. Gets out, and as he's climbing down the stairs, he goes, you're not going to look, are you? I go, no, you're not my type.
No.
To this day, we joke about that tractor being the coming out tractor.
Okay, you were involved in like what, young farmers though?
Yeah, I was on the state committee for Illinois Young Farmers Farm Bureau.
Was that after you'd come out?
It was while I was in my 10 year that I came out. I think it was my second year.
I can't imagine that had to be pretty tough too, right? I was never on that group, but it seems like that was a fairly tight group of people. And I don't know, what was the intimidation factor of coming out there?
I actually felt pretty comfortable coming out to my group itself. It was more the older generation farmer that may have sat on the director's board or that were just on other boards around the state that might have had an issue. I feel we had a close enough relationship with each other on our young leader board or committee that I felt it was fine and never felt any backlash out of that.
Okay. It'd be fun to name names, right?
Yeah, but we can't do that.
I always thought that was brave. Again, I'd never been part of that committee, but I didn't know how that would go, right? Because there's jerks in the world and there's people very small-minded in the world, and I'm glad that that wasn't the case there. I guess in general, as far as your experience with agriculture, how has that experience been when people find out that you're a gay farmer?
For the most part, it's really good. A lot of people will say, wow, you got some balls for doing that in this community. Because 9 years ago, that was before the political climate we're in now was even close to where we're at.
Mm-hmm. You know, the thing is, though, you were ultra liberal, too, in your thinking. How has that gone over?
Oh, it's amazing. I love wearing the mask, being a sheep. No, I'm not ultra liberal.
Well, here's the thing with social media and that, I mean, they like to categorize people. They like to put people in groups, right? If you're gay, you're going to have these political leanings. If you're straight, you know, if you're white, if you're a person of color, you're going to be this way or the other way. You, and I'm just going off of knowing you over the years, watching you on social media, fairly, I would say probably more than fairly, a very conservative guy. Am I right?
Yeah, I'm 100% conservative when it comes to the First Amendment, the Second Amendment, my money, don't screw with my property. But when it comes to social issues, I don't really care. What you do in your house is your business, just as long as it's not illegal.
You ever find that's the case with the people that want to tout this, you know, my freedoms, my rights, but I don't want you being gay over there in your own house?
I mean, there's a little bit of that, but it's a pretty conservative area that we're in here, but it's very socially accepting for the most part.
Mm-hmm. So when I interviewed your dad, I'll be honest, I was really nervous about that one coming out, right? Because, you know, you could figure out what was going to be coming. And there was probably 1 out of every 10 comments were stupid. The other 9 were incredibly supportive. I remember guys writing, your dad, guys writing me saying that, you know, this one made me think, you know, I've said fag, I've, you know, made gay jokes, I've poked fun at this and that, the other. This one really made me think. And I've always thought it was really brave of your dad to do that podcast. What did you think of it?
I thought he did an amazing job. He's an amazing dad. And I got oodles of supportive feedback from him, and I hope he was able to touch some people by it that may have been in the same situation he was in, and now they can maybe be nicer to their children.
I know he did. I promise you he did. We got messages that he did actually reach people like that. You know, the son was gay and he didn't really know how to handle it, and that helped him out a lot. So, again, kudos to your dad for that. After that podcast, too, you know, we did get messages from people that were gay and that were farming, but this is where I'm going to classify people. They weren't the production ag, right? They were the smaller ag, the ones doing a farmer's market and that. You seem to be the only one that was openly out in large production agriculture, right? Corn, soybeans, I-State, that type of thing. You seem to be the only one. I mean, do you ever feel like a bit of an island? I
did at first. As you come out and start meeting more people and experiencing more life. Because I wouldn't say I was depressed, but I was in kind of like a sheltered area. I kind of sheltered myself from all of that. So once I came out, my world got a lot bigger. Not many people know this, but there is a huge network of gay men in agriculture, and they have a huge network of being there for people when they decide to come out or how to come out, and just talking with them. Production ag, it's probably a couple percent of that whole thing. The majority is people in agribusiness. There is a huge, huge network for young people or older people that need someone to talk to about how to go about their life changes.
If, someone wants to get involved with it, can they hit you up? Can you help people get set up in that?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm more than welcome to talk with a parent or somebody who is gay and needs somebody to talk to.
Your age of 35, I'm going to assume here that has helped you in all of this. You pick a person like me, 11 years older than that. I think it would have been different, especially looking at some of the farm groups you were involved in. I think the attitude would have been different in that 10 years. Am I off base there?
No, not at all. And I think when I came out when I was 26 versus 18 or younger was huge too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just look at the attitude of my kids when they have gay kids in school. I mean, it's the acceptance. It's not even acceptance. It's just the way it is. It's not looked at one way or another. That's such a huge difference than from when I went to school. I mean, those kids were made fun of.
Right. And that goes not just with gay people. That goes with everybody. If you're in a place where there's no African-American kids or Hispanic kids, and they come into your school, you might look at them like, hey, what's up, dude? Like, for a couple days. And then they're just another kid in your school. Like, a lot of the shit that the media puts out there nowadays is fake news.
Mm-hmm. I try to put myself in a situation, and I try to be very, very honest with myself. And if I'm going back in my early 20s and I'm on a group of other farmers there, and one of them comes out as gay, a guy that I've been hanging out with, right? I don't like admitting this, but I'm trying to be as honest as I can. I would second guess, like going out with them at night, just because I would be afraid of what people would think of me. That's the fear I have being a straight guy. I can't imagine the fear that you would have being that gay guy, that people were thinking like that. I can't imagine how brave you had to be to work that into conversations. Well, actually, I'm gay. I don't know how you did it, but it's just, I've always looked at what you've been through and admired how you've done it, because you were just factual. I've never seen where it was like in your face, I'm gay, you've got to accept this. I've thought you always handled yourself well. I thought you always handled yourself like as brave of a person as you can get. Do you see yourself being that way, or was it different looking at it from your view?
No, and that's how I've always tried to portray myself. But I'm comfortable being the straight in the gay world, they call it masculine, the masculine man. Like, I can turn a wrench, I can fix a tile, whatever it is, I like doing all that. Most people, when they first meet me, they don't even have a clue I'm gay until I introduce my fiance now, or I tell them.
Mm-hmm. Was there a period, though, it's like with every conversation, did you feel like you had to work it in?
There was a little bit when I was first coming out that I thought people needed to know. Now I don't give a crap. You either know I'm gay or I'm not. It doesn't matter in my life what you think either way. When I was in the seed industry, first starting as, my bosses or whatever, some of them, it's like, you don't really need to know right now because that doesn't affect my job. Mm-hmm. And then as times went on, they're like, yeah, we don't give a shit.
Okay, let's talk about ag media, right? Has it been a deal where you've been approached saying, hey, do you want to tell this story about being a gay farmer?
No, you are the first for ag media. 2 weeks ago, I did a German TV documentary on young gay farmer in America that wholeheartedly supports Trump. Now that is an anomaly. That puts me on an island.
Yes, I can only imagine. Yeah. If you are a gay farmer supporting Trump, please let us know. I would just love to know if there was another one out there.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Does that bother you? I mean, because Ag's always looking for a story, right? Does that bother you that they've never really tried to address the whole homosexuality and Ag thing?
I think the gays in Ag are okay with it because they're more masculine. They don't necessarily want to be put on a pedestal. Mm-hmm. There are some gay men that want to be put on a pedestal and touted around, but I think agriculture, you've grown up to not need to flaunt yourself or who you are. You just do your job and go about it. Mm-hmm. Places in the city, you can go and flaunt yourself. You don't need to do it at your place of work all the time.
I cannot remember the FFA kid that we interviewed. The reason that I reached out and I interviewed him is because I was having a drink with two other ag media people, whatever. They were talking about it because he released a statement or whatever. And they said, well, a gay kid in FFA, there's no way he's ever going to get a platform. So it kind of ticked me off. So I interviewed him. He was very young, and that came through in the interview. But to me, that proved that, all right, there are certain things that were not to be talked about. And that's honestly why we kind of liked where we were at, because, I mean, no one was telling us what we could or could not talk about. When you hear something like that, when you hear reporters just writing something off because the gay is part of the story, I mean, does that bother you?
Yeah, it's like, why? Why not just go with the story? Why do you have to worry about what others are going to think about it? FFA, there's so many young gay men that go through that because that gives them an opportunity to meet other gays and gives them an area to show their leadership skills and other skills that they might have.
Yeah. Well, there's other stuff I want to talk to you about, but if there is a person out there in agriculture, younger person, older person that knows they're gay, what advice would you give them?
You have to be comfortable with yourself before others are going to be comfortable with you. You have to truly understand who you are and what you want out of this life before you can expect other people to feel the same. And I felt I was pretty respected in the community before I came out, so I had that leg to stand on, come from a well-respected family. So that kind of helps. Just talking to other people and seeing how they went through their struggles in life to get where they are is huge. And there's always somebody out there for you to talk to. You're never alone.
Mm-hmm. Let's switch gears because you are farming in a farming economy that's not very good right now. Things aren't good. Things are tough. I mean, yes, there's ways to make it through it. But you are up there in a very competitive area. You're up there in a very competitive field, corn, soybeans, great ground, high prices, and all this. What is your overall thought on surviving in agriculture nowadays?
You have to be diverse. You have to always try new things, work with people around you. So I don't own a corn planter. My dad plants all my corn. I own a bean planter, so I plant all his beans. Mm-hmm. It's just being able to be diverse and do things. I have Sabanto at the farm this summer. Sabanto Ag, which is an autonomous tractor company, left them 10 acres to do some trials out here. And then I also am selling Mosquito farm equipment. It's just being able to do other things.
All right, so tell me what that is.
Mosquito is an Italian company, Mosquito Gaspardo. They make a wide range of agricultural products, from sprayers for crops, orchards, vineyards, to hay equipment, tillage equipment, row crop equipment. They have planters. They go all the way down to hobby farmers, your household stuff, rototillers, different type of tillers. So I found them on Facebook one day. They had like 3 likes in the U.S. just popped up. And I talked to the general manager and decided they have a really quality product and I'd be interested in being a dealer for them. And so far what I've seen in the products that I've been able to get here and sell in the first month have been amazing. The couple pieces that I've sold, the clients are tickled to death with them. The quality of products is awesome.
I hope it's better than those Hardy sprayers.
Yeah, I think they're pretty good.
By the way, I've got a Hardy sprayer for sale because anyway, we'll move on. We're moving on, Dale. We're moving on.
Do you need a new sprayer?
I do. Yes, I'm never going to mess with it. 2 years. 2 years I've waited for them to fix a problem they never would. But hey, that's just me using.
I know a guy you can buy one from.
Yeah, but you're probably going to charge me too much. I can imagine the margin you're going to put up if I'm buying something from you.
Right, exactly. But you missed it. You like buying Steve Pitstick's hand-me-downs. He had a sprayer for sale, and the guy's tickled to death that bought it.
I still have the auger cart. I'm still using it. It works fine for me.
I'd like to buy that back from you, family heritage.
Yes, I could either use it as a vital piece of my farm's operation, or you could put it in your museum up there.
Right, exactly, yeah.
Your farm up there has always been kind of on the edge of technology. You guys have always been very eager and willing to adopt it.
Yeah, Dad has been amazing with technology the last 30, 40 years. He's been always at the front of it. I probably don't use technology as much as he does. I don't have the iPad in the tractor. I'm pretty good at just using the John Deere software and just go and do it. And then I do more of the walking and looking than relying on computers all the time.
You do all the young guy stuff.
Yeah, I got to turn the wrenches and grease everything.
You're officially engaged. You had a nice video on, I think it was your Instagram. It was somewhere anyway.
Yeah, I think it hit all social media. This past February, me and my fiance, Scott Rocha, took a trip to Florida. And one of the very last cruises that went out of Florida, we went down to the Bahamas. And thankfully, we didn't get COVID, which I think is crazy. That's another day, another story. We're sitting in the bar, and I said I had to go to the bathroom. I walked outside, called his parents. He has an amazing relationship with his parents. His dad's his best friend. So I couldn't ask his dad for his permission prior to this because he would have slipped up at some point and spilled the beans to him that I was going to propose. So we're sitting at one of the bars in Fort Lauderdale, and we're talking to this nice older lady. I think her husband was in the mob or something. She had good stories. And there's a pier, and I told her what I was going to do, and she's like, oh, yeah, just start the video, though, for me, because I don't know how to work those fancy phones. So we get out on the pier, and I ask him, and he says yes. He comes from an amazing family out in Tillamook, Oregon.
Are they dairy people?
They are dairy people. Tillamook cheese is the best.
Wait, you're marrying a farm kid?
I am marrying a farm kid.
I don't know how much of an anomaly you are, but you just keep putting yourself in a lower percentile.
It is crazy. It is. It's unheard of in the gay world for two gay farmers to meet. There's usually one who's a farmer and the other one decides to be a farmer because he loves that life. But for two of them to meet is pretty unheard of. So I don't know how I did it. I convinced him to move from beautiful Tillamook, Oregon to whatever we're calling this state of Illinois these days.
The once great.
Oh, yeah, the one's great, Illinois, and these hot, sweaty summers.
Yeah, I don't know how you did
And
this because I watch
I don't know.
I watch Derek Josie because he's from Tillamook, and I mean it's absolutely
Yeah.
beautiful out there. You're right, the climate seems a lot more nice than here. What did you do? How did you convince him to come out?
I guess my good looks and charm got him.
No, I'm being serious.
And it was, I am too, but I proposed it to him this way. He is younger than me. I'm going to retire before he will, hopefully. And then we will move back to Tillamook. His parents will hopefully be ready to retire or close to retirement by the time I want to retire. And when I say retire, it's not fully retiring. I'll just go out there and drive hay truck or fix stuff, not have to work mentally as hard as I do now.
I hear you. You talk about a retirement spot. That's not a bad one.
Right, exactly. They're dairy farm. They milk 1,000 cows, 1,300 cows or something, and they're 2 miles by the Crow to the coast over the Cascades. Oh, it's gorgeous. We were out there over the 4th and picked our wedding venue spot on their property. It's going to be a wedding of a lifetime. And not because I'm in it, just because of how cool it is out there.
Well, that's awesome. Congratulations. On my mental list was to, ask you about marriage. Every time we have someone that gets married, that does not have an ag background, there's always transitions or not. But here you did. You found yourself someone in agriculture. You found your boyfriend in the plat book. Well done, Dale.
Right? I know. They always said, find your wife in the plat book. Well, I found my guy in the plat book. That's pretty cool. He's an amazing guy. He actually stumbled onto a dairy farm here 5 minutes from the house, had their herd manager leaving, so he took on that position and doing an amazing job.
That's awesome. All right, Dale, the afternoon you and I are talking is July 16th. Right now, your opinion, who's our next president?
Donald J. Trump. Silent majority, we hear you.
Okay, I'm going to play devil's advocate. I mean, a lot of polls have him losing right now.
Dude, they had him losing the first time.
They had him the day before the election. It was a 96% chance he was going to lose. I'll never forget that.
Yeah. That's why you can't believe the media. Even Fox News nowadays is crap.
You do get involved somewhat in politics being a farm that's so close to Chicago. I've always appreciated that about you and your dad. You haven't been afraid to have the urban politicians come out to your farm.
Sometimes you get the ones you didn't vote for out here. And unfortunately, being that close to the city, that happens more often than not because of how people in the city vote, which I don't understand with the crime rate in Chicago and the deaths every weekend.
Mm-hmm. Or what do you find when they come out? I mean, are they completely uneducated on agriculture?
Yeah, clueless on agriculture. Truthfully, they are so far removed. People are so far removed from agriculture that they have no clue about it. That you could sit there for 2 weeks and explain agriculture, and hopefully they get a day's worth out of the 2 weeks that you explained to them.
So are you just trying to put like a face with ag, right? So when they think of farming, they think of ag. They aren't demonizing it?
Correct. And the truth behind it, and it's not corporate farms out here. It's family farms.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is my family. We're working this land. This isn't a corporation paying me to work this land. This is me doing my best to make a profit at the end of the day.
Yeah, I've done that. A lot of times it takes the entire damn day. I mean, just whatever you're doing. So I've always appreciated you and your dad take the time to have the politicians out there because we need to do that. All right, Dale, let me ask you this. When you're an old man, right, you're out there retired in Tillamook, you're 80 years old, do you think you'll be sitting on the porch in a rocking chair telling some young kid that it was so rare to be a gay farmer back when I was your age that we actually did a podcast interview on it?
I think it'll be just as rare. because we're getting less farmers. But yeah, I'll probably make them listen to it. It'll be archived by then.
It'll be like putting in the old 8-track tape.
Right, exactly. Hey, I got this fun, it'll be in your head or whatever, and I'll pull out the old iPhone 11 or whatever I got, and they'll be like, what is that thing?
Okay, and again, if someone's listening to this and wants to connect with somebody, doesn't know who to talk to, it is okay for them to reach out to you, and you can help at least get connected in a community?
Yeah, exactly. If I don't know the answers or able to help them, I have a big enough network. I can point them in the right direction to somebody that is willing to help them work through any issue that they may have.
Where can people find you on social media?
Dale Pitts Farms on Twitter, Dale Pitstick on Instagram and Facebook.
One time interviewing the insane farmer Derek from out in Kansas, his saying is that the pioneers get all the arrows. You have navigated this in a very classy, very professional way that the gay community honestly ought to look at you and go, wow, this guy navigated through agriculture in a very, very good way and set a great example. So I want to thank you for everything that you've done. I want to thank you for all that you continue to do for ag. Dale, I'm proud to call you a friend. I just am so proud, so happy to see that you have found a love of your life. And yeah, someday you're going to have to milk a cow.
Yeah, I shovel shit out of the calf pens every now and then when we're out there. So
oh, you poor
I'm
thing.
ready for it. Thank you. Yeah, thanks, buddy. I appreciate it.
Do you grunt every time you pick up the shovel like an old man now?
Not yet.
Give it about 5 years.
Last little tip that I like to go out there and show those Oregon boys that the Midwestern grain farmer knows how to shovel still.
Dude, don't do that. Don't, because we don't. No, we don't know how to work compared to those dairy guys. Yeah, you're going to embarrass us if you go out there and try to run with them. Dale, I really do appreciate everything and everybody else. We hope you catch us next week.
Thanks, Rob.
And thank you for listening to the Shark Farmer Podcast. I am your host, Rob Sharkey. Please visit us at www.sharkyfarms.com. And just search for Shark Farmer to follow me on Twitter. Later.